It's time for us to take a quick look at what's happening on the covers of the papers this morning. Mike Messikeno is here as well. Let's start, shall we? Today's Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. On the cover of the Vanguard, it says here, IGP kicks as ex-presidents, others back state police. Nigeria not ready, mature for state police, say IGP. We can't manage internal security without state police, says Jonathan. Governors must be transparent, says General Abubakar. Let's see what else we have here. Top left here, court vacates order suspending Ganduje. How gunmen killed Babcock varsity lecturer, abducted 2 in Ogun. On Okwama Ewu, help, we are dying in the forest. Displaced residents cry to Oborori. And let's see what else we have here. It says, at the African counter-terrorism meeting in Abuja, there's a photo story there of a large number of people, including the president there in the photo. On Ondo Guber, aspirants kick as Ayedatiwa extends olive branch to co-contestants. It also says here, terrorism is evil, must be banished in Africa, according to Tinubu. Coastal Superhighway Project, misplaced priority, says Obi. That's what we have on the cover of the Vanguard. Mike, any of those stories pop out to you there?
Let's take a look at terrorism. Of course, yesterday there was the counter-terrorism conference, Africa-wide and all of that. And as it is something, for me, you have to work in synergy. Just talking about different governments, because these terrorists also, they are not islands on themselves. They work together as teams with different divisions and all of that. So if the governments work together, then there is a path towards resolving the issue of insecurity around Africa, West Africa, and of course Africa at large.
So a meeting like this is the first step to in this battle against terrorism. Let's see what we have on the cover of the Daily Times. Do you have that? We have Nigeria not ripe for state police. IGP insists, says governors could use police force under them for political personal gains. It also says here, we can't have adequate security without state policing, according to Jonathan. Now, the story starts there on the cover and wraps up on page 4. On Kano matters, judge reverses order suspending Ganduje as APC national chairman. At the bottom there, it says Nigeria will strengthen regional collaboration against terrorism, says Tinubu. NMPCL deploys resources to transform Nigeria into gas-powered nation. Page 14 has more on that. I wanted to, I've not really given too much thought on this issue of state police, but I do understand that, of course, in the U.S., they have different state policing.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, you can't really compare the U.S.
to Nigeria. Is definitely a state-policed country.
Yeah.
That's why you have the LAPD, the NYPD, and all of that.
Yeah.
So definitely, they are all under the different jurisdictions. But this is a problem where the IGP has concerns, and his concerns are very valid. Even without state policing, yes, the governors still use, or politicians still use the police to intimidate. So imagine when all of that setup is all under their control. Imagine what level of intimidation, as it were, that will be possible. So maybe some things need to be put in place so that there is some level of accountability. Nobody can just stand up and use the force for personal victimization, or personal intimidation or something like that. There has to be that setup for checks and balances. You don't allow so I do understand where the IGP has concerns.
But I'm just trying to think about if you have a particular budget for the police force, for instance, and it's allocated, for instance, to each state to use, as opposed to it being used at the central level. I'm just thinking, in a place like Lagos, we see how impactful Lagos State has been in certain other areas, even education, even road networks, and so on. I'm just feeling like, maybe if there could be a test phase or at least some kind of maybe simulation of what it would come out like, what it would look like.
Talking about that budget, we know how it is where allocations that are given to states, and the issue has always been, do they use it for what needs to be done? Remember what the Senate President said at one time when he spoke about allocations to state governors, and it caused quite a lot of issue. I don't think the Senate President will just come up and make an unfounded statement. Of course. There's a lot about that thing shrouded in secrecy, as it were. So my point is that when that happens now, you find that even the barracks that are complaining about underfunding when it comes to security forces and police and all that, when it enters the states and all of that, you know how governors can be. You find out that this year they release somebody that's supposed to receive 100,000 is receiving 5,000, all because of somebody came and funds that were allocated to a particular reason were embezzled or were kept for something else. So really, I would understand the IGP's concerns on that one. Okay.
Now, at this point, we would love let's move on to another paper, but your thoughts on that will be, of course, highly welcome. We have the Daily Independent here with the same headline, a similar headline as some of the other papers, but let's move on from that story. It says here, terrorism now greater threat to nationhood, says Tinubu, links it to illegal mining activities, solicits better cooperation among regional blocs, advocates Regional Counterterrorism Center. At the top left there, Rivers Assembly overrides Fubara, extends local government chairman tenures, and Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway not a priority, says Obi. Says project may not be completed in 30 years. And that's what we have on the cover of the Daily Independent. There has been a lot of back and forth about the coastal highway, especially as regards how it affects a lot of businesses along the Lagos coastline who have invested heavily, especially with regards tourism and recreation for the people of Lagos. And of course, it does feel like, there could be some sort of adjustment to the plans, to the structure that they wanted to put in place. If they want to, maybe it might cost a little bit more money, but I don't know. It's just really a question of what can be done, whether we want to encourage the businesses to stay afloat, or we want to just focus on building that highway. Of course, the reason for the highway is also very, very important. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Use our hashtag #WakeUpNigeria on TVC. And of course, tag us #WakeUpNigeria TVCE with your thoughts on social media. We can't wait to see them. Let's take a quick break then. Okay, but all right, let's see what's happening in the kitchen before we take that break.